Okay. So, I guess this is like a video diary now. And this would be technically my second entry, if you don't count the one that I did before the first one. The one that was like 15 minutes long that had a lot of wind. I was outside, like I am now. And it is windy out, but this little area of trees surrounds me and kind of redirects the wind. Also, the wind's not blowing right now, but it keeps for like a little warm, insulated area. And it's nice. It's a nice, calm area. You know, I didn't know how today was gonna go because I kind of just got dragged out into the woods for my mom to collect bonsai trees. Get some new ones, start new pots, etc., etc. That's her hobby. That's the thing that makes her happy. And yeah, and she decided to bring along the family because my brother desperately needs to touch grass, and because nature walks are fun. So yeah, it's kind of a family outing. But now that she's actually going to do the action of collecting the trees rather than just looking at the potential trees to collect, my brother and I were left behind. So yeah. Something that's been on my mind recently has been about my insecurities, because I have essentially elected to edit none of these. This isn't content. This isn't like designed for other people to see. Other people can see it, kind of just because, but this isn't entertainment, so I'm not going to edit it. But on top of that, I'm honestly just too insecure to be able to watch these videos back and not be like, I can't ever post this, because then, well, I'll never post it, and that would kind of defeat the purpose. So yeah, and part of the insecurities really is just the, like, I don't know, it's that kind of like scrutiny that you have when looking at yourself. You don't have it when looking at most other people, but you see every little thing that's wrong with you. And maybe that's an uncommon thing among those who are well adjusted, but I feel like that's a pretty natural experience, a pretty human experience. And yeah, I don't think I could watch these videos back. Maybe it's that I look too young for 18, which like every old person I've ever interacted with has said, when you're in your 50s, you're going to be so happy that you look younger than your age. I'm like, yeah, that's fair, but it doesn't really feel that great sometimes. And then honestly, probably my biggest physical insecurity is my hair. And it's because it can look good sometimes, certain angles, certain styles, for split seconds of time. But it's the most uncooperative thing on the planet. Trying to get my hair to work, washing it different ways, is akin to alchemy. I'm just kind of throwing in different combinations of soaps and shampoos and conditioners and trying to make something work. And sometimes I get it to work, sometimes I don't. Really, the issue is that my hair fibers, the follicles themselves, are so incredibly fine that they're really hard to work with. And honestly, it might be because I'm trying to kind of work against the natural way that my hair goes, but the natural way my hair goes is just down, which looks terrible and goofy, and I don't like it. I really hate it. I don't know if you could hear that. That was a pretty strong gust of wind. That's the reason I paused, just in case you could hear that. Anyway, yeah, no, my biggest physical insecurity is really my hair, because there's nothing I can do to control it. There's nothing I can do about it, really. And so most of the time I look like shit just because of the fact that I can't get my hair under control, and it's gotten to the point where I've just kind of accepted that I'm going to look like shit most of the time. Because, I mean, if I can't tame it or cooperate with it, I may as well just accept it for what it is and just be disappointed. Which is probably how my parents feel about me, because what I just described is pretty much the exact same as what my parents have to put up with me. So, I mean, honestly, it's no wonder if they are disappointed, although they probably aren't, because while I don't know their personal feelings on how proud or not proud they are of me, they've never really expressed a lot of disappointment in me, and it's never really been continuous. And I've seen other people's parents, and like I'll talk to my friends and they'll be like, my parents are definitely disappointed in me, and I'll look at their parents and I'll be like, no, they're not. And it's really easy to get trapped in that, where it's just like, oh, well, my parents must be disappointed in me because I'm disappointed in me. And that's not true. My parents are disappointed in me often, but they aren't perpetually disappointed in me. They're disappointed in my lack of drive to, want to make money, etc., etc. But they're not disappointed in me or who I am as a person. And yeah. So, yeah, no, honestly, other than my hair, like, physically, I don't really have any insecurities. I don't have anything that sometimes I'll notice that, like, one of my eyes is more closed than the other. That happens actually probably a decent amount, but to be honest, I don't really care. That's not important to me. I think really just the biggest thing for me is always just that I can't ever have my hair looking nice. It always looks weird in some form or fashion. And I kind of, I guess, want it to be something it's not. So I have no idea how to figure that out. Maybe I'll figure that out once I'm in my 20s. I don't know. It's just annoying. Yeah. Yeah. What else? It's nice to be in this place. If I can just block out the outside world a little bit, then it feels like I'm just in an endless, like, forest surrounding me, protecting me. Feels nice. Like, I saw a spider crawling over here, and of course, I personally am not arachnophobic. I am not afraid of spiders. I don't even really get uncomfortable around spiders anymore, although I kind of used to. But, even knowing that there are bugs in here and, like, spiders doesn't even remove the comfort level. I still feel safe, and it's nice. I mean, it's a pine forest, so there's pine straw all around. And it feels nice and, like, soft and comfortable. Yeah. Anyway, yeah, okay, I'm a huge nerd, like, in a lot of different ways. I like strategy type games. I like anime, which has kind of become more nerd culture, as of late. It used to be a separate thing, but really it's just kind of coincided with a lot of nerd culture nowadays. And everybody talks about, oh yeah, you want to play D&D? Let's start a D&D group, D&D, D&D, D&D. Which, don't get me wrong, I've played Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition. I like it pretty reasonably. I've played I've played a few games, and don't get me wrong, it's been fun. But personally, my role-playing game of choice is Pathfinder, which is an offshoot of D&D 3.5e. And the reason I like Pathfinder so much is just because of the customizability options. Even if you're just using core classes and core races, there are so many different ways you can customize your character depending on the campaign, depending on what your DM allows. Like, there are archetypes for each of the core classes that can just change what your character does to a decent degree while still maintaining the essence of the class that you chose. And it's just the type of thing that I eat up, because like D&D 5e is fine. It's great. It's cool. But really the thing that I feel like is that its simplicity kind of boxes it in, because like it feels like if I'm picking a class or specific type of character, like, yeah, there are subclasses, but for the most part, I'm kind of locking myself into a specific track. And, like, then I have a few more tracks to go with subclasses. But really, it's just like, this is what you're gonna do. This specifically is what you're gonna do. And I don't know, it just... It definitely is simpler, easier to grasp. A lot of people have a hard time grasping, like, all of the different rules of Pathfinder, because Pathfinder is a pretty complex game. But I just love Pathfinder so much because it's just, I can pretty much customize my character to do exactly what I want it to, down to the letter. Like, everything that I need in a character can be found in some classes. And to be fair, there are limitations. There's limitations to, like, how much futuristic technology you can have, because it's still, like, fantasy. And there's limited amounts of, like, different... there's a significantly more limited pool of things that are, like, on the fringe. You're not going to be finding, like, Dr. Frankenstein type beats where you're just, like, sewing flesh together. Like, you could probably find something that could help you do that, like, assist it. I mean, you could do something, like, regarding necromancy, and there's probably something in there. But there's nothing where you're, like, improving your own physical form. There's a lot of customization options, but obviously, as with everything that is a bunch of rules, there's limitations. And because there's limitations, you're not always going to be, like, you're not always going to be able to account for everything. You're not always going to be able to think of every single idea when you're writing down a bunch of rules. And they wrote rules for decades. So, like, yeah. No, currently, Pathfinder's on its 2nd edition. Although, from what I've heard from my friends who, actually did the research into Pathfinder 2nd edition, it's really just kind of like a different 5e. And so, me and my friends, we exclusively play 1st edition Pathfinder. And so I'm about to start a campaign where one of my best friend's sisters is going to run it. And, yeah, it should be fun. I had a longtime player and DM shoot down my original character idea because of the fact that it would be overwhelming for a new DM, and because of the fact that it is kind of broken. But that comes with just kind of researching the rules that much. You kind of find the different things that are broken. And to be honest, I am nowhere near as skilled at creating broken characters as one of my other friends. But I can still do it. But yeah, no, like, and that's another thing. Like, the last time I recorded, I mentioned how it would be really hard for me to find somebody to be romantically involved with at all. And, like, D&D is so mainstream now that when I'd say, oh, like, I'm into tabletop role-playing, they'd be like, oh, you play D&D? And it's like, yes, but no. And it's a really complex thing to explain. It's a lot of rules. You might not want to learn it. It's just a lot, especially for someone to pick up. Like, now, obviously, she doesn't have to have the same interests as me, like, because that would be silly. I'm getting mad at crows. Obviously, she doesn't have to have the same interests as me off rip, but I would like to be able to talk about the things I'm passionate about with her. And if it's just too much, like, that's difficult. There's also, I'm really into the mobile game The Battle Cats. I haven't really been doing as much currently because there's not as much to do. But it's a fire game, and I love playing the Battle Cats, and I love doing, like, I just love playing the levels. It's really fun. It's also a lot to explain, but I don't know. I don't know how niche the Battle Cats is. I've watched a few Battle Cats videos on YouTube. I am beefing with birds right now. I'm gonna fucking kill them. Anyway. No, I'm actually not sure how niche that interest is, because I know Pathfinder's niche. There's, like, so little content about it online outside of, like, things that are referencing, like, actual printed books. I'm gonna fucking murder you. Shut the fuck up. They're talking to each other. I'm gonna kill myself. I'm not. I feel obligated to say I'm not, but anyway. Yeah. No, I know Pathfinder's niche because of the fact that I have looked for so much content, and really, aside from a couple of websites and things that directly reference books of Pathfinder, there's not a lot of content, especially not on, like, Pathfinder First Edition. No, so I know that's niche. I'm not sure how niche the Battle Cats is or isn't. Regardless, it just means that I am a strange, unique person with strange, unique tastes. But to be fair, that's not always a good thing, so remains to be seen. I don't know. I'm an idiot. This is kind of stupid. But I don't have a regular diary, and honestly, I would forget to write in it because of the fact that I'm not good with remembering that type of thing. And it's just a lot easier if I just say things out loud, which is why I've talked to myself for so long. Yeah. I think I'm gonna call it for this one. I don't really have anything else to say. And these crows are going to become Kentucky Fried Crows if they don't shut the fuck up. Yeah. I think that's it. Maybe next time I will tell the story about how I hijacked one of my very early high school classes. I think I was actually... No, it was... I think it was freshman year. Bit of backstory. Next time I'll probably talk about how in my homeschool co-op, because I was homeschooled, next time I'll talk about how in my homeschool co-op I hijacked one of my classes and made it all about weasels and pissed half of the class all the way the fuck off, and the other half of the class was having the time of their lives because it was funny. So, a little bit of bait. Video diary entry number fucking I don't care.